Hey, what is up everyone? So with Season 15 close to releasing soon, I've been thinking a lot about, is Season 15 actually going to make players happy, or is it just going to be the same complaints that we've been seeing from the player base for the last several years? I feel like the answer for why this is a problem is pretty obvious, but I still wanted to talk about it because I do think it's an interesting topic, and I think Rare used to handle this a lot better, and I want to talk about why updates in the past worked compared to the updates we're getting now. So for those of you that don't know, Season 15 is going to be focused on the Hunter's Call. And the Hunter's Call has been a faction in the game that has been pretty neglected since it was introduced all the way back in the anniversary update of the game. So it really deserves some love, and I'm happy for the players that really do enjoy the Hunter's Call to finally have a good update that's targeted at them. But that kind of gets into why I don't think this update's going to be that great for the majority of players. The player base just has become too diverse, with players of different groups wanting vastly different things, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I think it's actually quite an amazing thing where this virtual world contains so many different playstyles, from sneaky players like myself to those who prefer a no-tricks battle and just something that's a very direct 1v1 style like the Hourglass battles are, or to those who just enjoy doing voyages and world events. It even caters to players that might not even want to sail a ship and just wants to stay on the starter island that they spawn at and just stay and fish the whole time. There's really so much that can be done within Sea of Thieves that's both a great thing, but it also makes it very difficult to keep everyone satisfied. Over the last many years, the game has expanded to include so many different ways to play and enjoy Sea of Thieves. With that though, we now find that every update seems to leave a big portion of the player base disappointed and annoyed. The only thing all players can seem to agree on is that there's a need for bug fixes and server improvements, which have plagued the game for the last several years as the game continues to expand. It seems like every season, Rare is trying to focus on a particular part of the player base, such as with Season 14, focused on players like myself that like to sneak around and tuck and stuff, Season 13 more focused on PvP through a new world event, or Season 11 which was catered mostly to PvE players. In theory, this sounds great. Within a year's span, all players got something to enjoy. However, in practice, it hasn't really gone that well. A year is a long time to wait for a live service game, and it's particularly bad if the one update that's targeted at you for that year just doesn't land and then you're in for some major disappointment. For example, with Season 13, I don't think it's controversial to say that it hasn't had the greatest impact on the game since its release. At first it was pretty great, but eventually it just became a pretty dull event that most players ignored. It was targeted at PvP players, but it failed to have a lasting impact. Outside of some new weapons added to the game in 2024, this was the main thing to keep you interested as a PvP player. Prior to this, the last significant update focused on PvP was all the way back with Season 8 for the Hourglass battles 2 years prior. Unless the update is truly amazing, it's just not enough to satisfy players for the whole year. Now ideally, if you're a fan of Sea of Thieves, you will fit into a handful of different groups, and hopefully a few updates throughout the year will satisfy you. For example, last year I would say that both Season 12 and Season 14 were more targeted at someone like myself, and I did enjoy both of those updates. However, when the update isn't aimed at you at all, it becomes disappointing where now you have at least 3 months to wait till the next big update. Season 15 I think will have this problem too. Even if it's the best Hunter's Call update bringing in new monsters and voyages and new tools to utilize, it still won't make a lot of players happy. I'm hopeful for Season 15, but I also don't think it's going to be something that holds my interest for that long. The best thing that Rare can do is to really try and merge the groups that they're targeting with each season so that it's not just focused on one group being taken care of. Rare is capable of doing this because they've done it in the past. 2 updates come to mind that I think they did a really great job at making a variety of players happy. First is Season 4 with the Sunken Kingdom update. This update included both the Siren Shrines and Treasuries, which brought a little bit of something for everyone. It was great for the PvE group that wanted to go explore and solve puzzles in these new shrines, and it had some pretty decent on-demand combat with the Treasuries. It was also great for tucking and PvP in general, and it brought a whole new set of treasure to make the in-game economy feel even more diverse than it was before. Season 4 I think is a really solid update that had at least something for everyone to enjoy. The next update, however, I think did an even better job, and to this day is one of the best updates we've ever gotten in Sea of Thieves, and that is the Heart of Fire. This update brought a new tall tale for PvE storyline players, a new Athena voyage with the Run of Thieves, which was great for PvE players, but also for PvP players, since you could be a little bit more strategic in your attempt to try to steal their treasure if you knew they were doing this voyage. Like the previous update, it also brought new treasure for the Athena's Fortune, which helped expand the economy, and it expanded the tools in the game with the chain shot and the blunderbombs, which both have had really great long-lasting legacies in the game. I know myself personally, I've used both of those a ton. If Rare can get back to these type of updates where they can service a wide range of playstyles, then I think Sea of Thieves will become exciting for players again. One idea that might work well for this that I talked about recently for my Season 14 video was having a new type of on-demand world event similar to the Sea Fort and the Siren Shrines and Treasuries, but focused on new types of playstyles. This would be a type of temple there where you could basically go in and you'd either have to sneak around to try to get to the treasure, or you just fight your way through a bunch of enemies. And I think if you make the treasure valuable enough and you make it so that it's somewhat difficult and has good replayability, I think it could really accomplish this kind of goal of satisfying a large amount of players. Because the way to get good PvP is to have players that are actually trying to go for treasure. So if you give players a new type of activity that's somewhat easy to go and try to steal from, but it's lucrative enough for the players to take the risk, then that's a good recipe for success with Sea of Thieves. It also would satisfy, I think, a lot of players in the sense that if you focused on something that doesn't exist in the game, and if you think about it, there isn't really any PvE activity that's focused on sneaking around. Sneaking around is great for the PvP stuff, where you're sneaking onto someone's ship and you're hiding there, or you're tucking at an outpost or something waiting for players to show up. That's all great, but there's no equivalent to that in the PvE side of things. So if they could make an event that does that, it would satisfy the people that like to sneak around, satisfies the PvE players, it satisfies the PvP players. It really just would cover a wide variety of things. And then if you sprinkle a few things on top of that, like what we got with the Heart of Fire, with some new items and stuff, and obviously have some new cosmetics to try and earn, I think if you took that all together and put that for one season, that would be the recipe for a really great season update that can at least hopefully satisfy a majority of the players. If you want a more in-depth explanation of what I was thinking with that idea, I'll leave a link to that video. But with that said, what type of updates do you want to see in Sea of Thieves in the future? Also let me know, what type of playstyle do you think most fits you? I'd be interested to hear what y'all have to say. But that's it for this video. If you liked it, it would be great if you liked and subscribed. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye y'all.